Ayman Khan here for Seconds Out with Harlem Eubank. Harlem, when we last spoke, you said in a few days you'll have a big announcement to make. That big announcement has been made now. Talk to us about it, Jack Catterall.
I'm excited. This is the fight that I called for, and my team and we made it happen. So excited to go in there and show people exactly what I can do.
Saying that this is the fight that you called for, why Jack Catterall? What was it about Jack that you felt was the one that you wanted to tick off?
Because we believe he's the best. We believe he's the best in the UK. He's the best on Matchroom's roster, I believe. Especially in the UK. So he is the top guy. He's proven it at world level over and over again. Beat former world champion after former world champion. On the bounce. He is the guy that we believe is at the top, and I'm coming for the top dog.
Let's get into his last performance. You must have kept a keen eye on that. What did you think of that? And do you think that's the version of Jack Catterall that you'll be stepping through the ropes with?
Of course not. That was just a flat night for Jack. We've seen over and over again what he can do, and that night it was a bit flat. But when you get a the champion type of fighter he is, and they come off a close decision loss like that, the next fight they always come back better. So we're expecting the best version of Jack Catterall that there is, and that's what we're coming in there to dominate against that guy.
You get a lot of credit for picking Jack because not a lot of people will do because of the style that he presents. But do you see him as a puzzle? Do you see his style as something that's difficult to figure out?
No, I don't. I see him as another man, and I know how I have the capability to go in there and dominate, regardless of what he presents. So I'm excited for the challenge, and I'm coming to put in a performance on July 5th.
No less, you're stepping into the Lions Den as well. Any possibility that this was going to be in Brighton?
I prefer it in the Lions Den. We're coming into his backyard, and we're gonna, take over, on his home turf. That's a beautiful thing, and I'm excited.
You beat Jack Catterall. I guess you can get to call your shot. What is it you want from this? Where do you want to be after the back of a victory against Jack?
I want to fight the best guys in the world. I'm ready to become world champion, and Jack Catterall is in my way, and that's the path that I'm on, and I'm ready to take it to him on July 5th.
This fight is aptly named the Warriors Code. Of course, that's a phrase synonymous with the Eubanks and, of course, your uncle. Just in your own words, what does the Warriors Code mean to you?
It's in the DNA. Sorry. It's in the DNA. The Warriors Code, it's how we all grew up. We have it inside of us, and it's about working behind the scenes for years to grasp opportunity with both hands and go and dominate, and that's exactly what I plan to do.
Do you particularly feel he'll be someone who will be at the heavier end of welterweight like yourself? How do you feel you've settled in at welterweight, and what do you think he'll be like in the ring?
I don't know what he'll be like, but I'll be strong, and I'll be ferocious in there. So it's going to be an exciting night.
Can't help but obviously mention that there's obviously history with, of course, recently we've seen Chris in the ring with Conor Benn, and Conor is here. I wonder, have you bumped into him yet? Is that a shot you want to call off the back of a victory against Jack Catterall as well too, that Conor Benn fight?
I haven't bumped into him yet, but hopefully I'll see him. But yeah, I think this fight is way above Conor Benn's level. He's just he's fought nobody, and he's just come off the back of a wide decision loss to my cousin. So he needs to go back to British level and rebuild. And I'm gonna take over on the world scene. And should it happen down the line, we're ready.
This is another promotion versus Matchroom boxing promotion. Are you expecting any antics? Are you expecting any back and forth between yourself and Eddie like Chris experienced?
I just want to hear from Jack. I'm not interested in hearing from Eddie. We want to see Jack's the guy that's earned, the people's respect for the fight where he should have been undisputed champion of the world. He earned that off the back of his hard work. So, I'm interested to hear from Jack and Jack alone.
So will you be shutting Eddie down during the press conferences like Chris did?
I don't need to shut Eddie down, but he's, I want to hear from Jack. That's. we need to give the microphone to the fighters who have earned their position. And I'm excited to go in there and take over now.
Will Eubank Sr. be in your corner, present during the fight week and the fight, or part of the promotion as well too? Can you say that?
He'll be in my corner. I don't know as far as promotion where he'll be, but he is an enigma. He turns up when he wants to, and he makes a grand entrance, as we've seen over and over again. But yeah, he is. You don't try and predict where and when he's going to be, but he's always in my corner, no doubt. So I'm excited for July 5th because it's going to be a big show.
Off the back of course, Eubank Jr. versus Ben, and now going into this fight, both Chris has said, both you've said, of course, as well too, in that Zoom we did, and Eubank Sr. said the family ties have just been strengthened off the back of that. What has that been like, and do you feel that strength of bond in your heart increasing off the back of these last few weeks?
Definitely, seeing all the clips, seeing the the uniting of father and son in Chris and Junior's, it's heartwarming, and it continues to motivate me and inspire me to go in there and perform at world level in the sport, and make a name for myself as well.
Have you changed your mind on a rematch at all? I spoke to Frank Smith yesterday, and he said, look, the terms are there, and it seems like that's pretty much in lock without it actually being formally announced. But you kind of said, look, it's been done, it was convincing enough. But would you be open to seeing it a second time?
I don't want to see a rematch. You can never make a fight like that as good the second time. It was a great show, an entertaining night. It was a special night, and you can never recreate something like that. So for me, it was a wide points margin, a wide margin victory. I don't think we need to see it again.
Well, if you saw the diary of the CEO with Chris making a lot of comments, I just wanted your thoughts on what Chris had to say about the whole fight as a whole.
As a whole, I mean, you can give me a more direct question. Like as a whole, it was a long podcast. It was talking for an hour.
Well, a lot of it is obviously to do with the back of what he'd experienced in the ambulance and stuff, and seniors also said it was touch and go with what he experienced. You mentioned to me that he was severely dehydrated, but that would be the jeopardy if the fight was to happen, and again as well too. And then of course when it comes to promotion, he felt like there was there was a bit of a block from his point of view, and there's a bit of a friction there. But what was your thoughts on what Chris had to say?
Yeah, I think everything in the build-up was done to make sure Chris was a shell of himself in the ring, and to give Conor the best opportunity to get Chris at the end of his career, 35 years old, and to try and catch him on the way out. And it was a wide points loss for him, so everything went against Junior in that fight, and he dominated.
I'll leave the final word with you. This is a high-stakes fight with lots of implications on the world scene, and you would want to be the one with the hands raised at the end of that final bell. What can you say to the people who are going to be tuning in as to what they can expect, and a message, if you will, to Jack Catterall ahead of the fight night?
Jack, turn up. We want to see you in your best form, and we're coming to take over. We want the best version of Jack Catterall, and it's going to be an explosive night.
Harlem, much appreciated. Looking forward to this fight. Thank you so much for speaking in a second out, sir. Much appreciated. Good man.